So there's this video going around on Facebook of this dude named John Burk, who also calls himself Soldier of Steel, going on an incoherent, whiny, emotional rant after seeing a picture online of a school permission slip that basically acknowledges that students have the freedom to opt out of reciting the Pledge of Allegiance if they want to. It says, "I understand my rights as a parent, and I request that my child be excused from reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. This includes standing and placing his or her right hand over his or her heart." In a free country, freedom of choice should be a no-brainer, but for some reason that caused this dude to just completely flip out.
So I saw a letter today of a student who brought home a school note saying that they could choose to opt out of saying the Pledge of Allegiance because it was offensive.
Okay, stop right there. From the very beginning, he's already adding in details that weren't even there in the first place. Where in the permission slip does it say anything at all about something being offensive? Choosing not to partake in something doesn't always have to mean it's because it's offensive. You don't need a reason to choose not to partake in something. That's called freedom.
America is the land of opportunity for the hard workers. Men and women have died for this freedom that we have in this country, to do as we wish, to say and be free, have freedom of speech. We have so many freedoms that so many citizens have taken for granted. They just don't realize it. You can go to these third world countries out there that are war-torn, that don't have a tenth of the freedoms that we have today. But people come into this country, which is fine. If you want to come over here and be a Muslim and practice your religion, nothing wrong with that.
You mean people in war-torn countries we've helped destroy have less freedom than us? No way. And how did we get on the topic of religion? Like, what is this dude even talking about? It's funny because you can already tell the video is gonna be good by the description, which is hilarious. The description starts out, "Don't come into my country." Why are you talking about someone coming into your country? The picture you saw has nothing to do with that. Then it says, "Take your ass back to the Middle East." What does this have to do with the Middle East? This dude is literally so offended, he's making up his own stories now about the picture of the permission slip.
When you come here and start demanding that America panders to you and changes to fit your needs, you have went the wrong direction. I will say the Pledge of Allegiance. Why? Because I pledge my allegiance to a country that has given me everything I've got, that I fought for, that our forefathers died for. It is a true land of the free and home of the brave. But your bitch ass, your students, and that's why we have a generation of bitches right now, because you want to protest everything. Half of you have never even fought for anything in your fucking life. You've had everything handed to you, and you don't want to say a few simple words such as, "I pledge allegiance to the flag." You don't want to say that. Why? Because in my mind, you're not American. Then you take your bitch ass to the Middle East and see how far you make it over there. Don't come in my country and sit there and say, "I shouldn't have to say it because it's offensive." Fuck you and your feelings. Be a patriot, not a bitch, in the arena.
All it was a picture of a permission slip to have the freedom to opt out. And this dude is talking about offended protesters, the Middle East, and immigrants, none of which have anything to do with the picture. Out of all the incoherent thoughts in the video, one thing I have gathered from this mindless stupidity is that having the freedom of choice is bad. So I want to ask you, John Burk, what's your solution to this issue of too much freedom? That everyone be forced to say it instead of having a choice? You say that they're demanding that everyone pander to them, yet here you are demanding that everyone be forced to say a chant to an inanimate object that was written by a socialist. If we saw other countries forcing people to pledge their undying allegiance to an object, we would call that brainwashing. But don't ever say that about the Pledge of Allegiance, because this guy will rant on the internet about how offended he is that you have the choice of whether or not you want to exercise the free speech of reciting a love poem to a cloth. This guy looks for occasions to be offended. It's funny because people like this are always talking about how everyone gets offended so easily, yet here he is getting all emotional and offended about a picture he saw online. This is a typical example of someone basing their beliefs off of feelings and emotion rather than logic. The Pledge of Allegiance was just something that was created by a man in the first place. Why should somebody be forced to recite something that was written by somebody else, no matter what it is? If you think about it, it really is a strange idea. So let me know what you think. Should we all be forced to say the Pledge of Allegiance, or should we have the freedom to choose whether or not we want to? Let me know what you think in a comment below, and I'll see you next time. How many pictures have you seen shared on social media by statists that promote violating human rights over a piece of fabric? Statism is a mental disorder brought by years and years of indoctrination.
This is not a form of brainwashing. This is not a form of brainwashing.
Have you had anything to drink, sir?
I have the right to remain silent.
You don't appear to be intoxicated. You're free to continue on, okay?
Is this just because we have cameras?
Be safe.